My name is Tom Christie. I'm an engineer, and I have been here working at Geoprobe Systems since 1987. SP15, that stands for Screen Point 15. It was actually the second sampler we made in the Screen Point series. We actually made a first one that had an outside diameter of 1 inch, because at the time, early in Geoprobe development, the late 80s, we had one size of probe rod is 1 inch. But as then we went up in probe rod size, we developed a hidden sheath sampler, our second in a series, and this time we used a wire wound screen inside. So a hidden sheath sampler with a wire wound screen is what we now refer to as Screen Point samplers. So it's a sampler we can drive to depth with the machine and then deploy the screen out from the sheath where it's hidden and sample groundwater. The Screen Point sampling method we developed in the mid-1990s and probably patented it around 1995. Hydraulic hammers used on Geoprobe machines had gone up in size, and the probe rods available to us that we had to drive into the soil had gone up in size, so we needed to upsize our groundwater sampler as well. And in so doing, it also allowed us to equip the Screen Point sampler, the groundwater sampler, with a longer screen. So I think we were at that point going into tooling that could be 3 or even 4 feet in length. Wow, it was quite a game changer because it allowed you with a direct push machine to drive a sealed screen into the soil and then open that opposite a permeable formation and obtain a groundwater sample. So when we started building direct push equipment in the 1980s to investigate a groundwater plume, people installed monitoring wells. And these monitoring wells were very expensive. They generate a lot of waste in doing the installation process. And we could come in with a direct push machine and Screen Point samplers and obtain high quality groundwater samples very rapidly and with very little investigation derived waste. So sometimes on projects, the waste disposal from the project would exceed all other costs on the project. And that was, we didn't have that with Screen Point sampling, and it was very quick, and we could isolate different zones where we wanted to do that sampling. Typically, in fact, as a rule, we always recommend to people, get a log first. Let's make a direct push log. Let's use something with an HPT log on it so that we can measure where the groundwater table is. We can know the position of the groundwater table, and we can know the permeability of the soils. Every time you go up in size of the hydraulic driver on a machine, and you go up in size on your probe rod, then you've got to your sampler also has to go up in size. So when we went from 40 series hammers to 60 series hammers, now we're putting a lot more energy down that probe rod and through the sheath of the screen. So those have to go up in size, and that's why currently with 1.5-inch rods, I believe we'd be at a Screen Point 16. And under GH60 hammers now, we've also got a Screen Point 19 where we're using 1.75-inch rods. Have a very long life under a GH60 hammer. But you've just got way more energy than we did back when we first built the Screen Point 15 in 1995.